What's up, everybody? It is Mick, and I am here to talk to you about our wonderful sponsor, Manscaped. They have tons of little goodies, and I got a few more. I know I talked to you guys a lot about the Lawnmower 3.0, which I love and is an amazing razor. And I got another one coming to use for my face to shape up this beard, so stay tuned for future episodes. But they also gave me, besides the conditioner, besides the deodorant, I got, they call it the Weed Whacker. So it's for that unsightly. I mean, listen, we're getting older, gentlemen. This is how this works. Ear hair, you got some nose hair. And I have decided I need to start cleaning up better. I need to make myself beautiful. So this is going to come in handy. I just got this today, and I cannot wait to use it. I'm telling you, next week you're going to see a whole new Mick jumping on. So I also got this. This is like, I cannot wait. They give you a little carrying case for it, which is magnetic, perfect. Look at that. I just got this today. It's got the coolest nail clipper I think I've ever seen. Got little scissors there, a file, and some tweezers. I'm going to be looking so good. You guys are going to love it. You can get this stuff too. It is available with a discount. So head over to manscaped.com. Type in, get what you want, put it in the cart, then type in promo code SNOBS, SNOBS, and you'll get 20% off and free shipping until May 14th. So make sure you jump on there, get it for Father's Day, get it for your friends, get it for this, that, and the other thing. It's a great gift, the whole nine. We had a few family members pick up some to give as gifts, and just enjoy it. So it is quality brand right there, Manscaped. So they're very happy to have them sponsoring us. But until next time, like I said, use promo code SNOBS for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. And we're going to get started with BTB with a very special guest tonight. So I will talk to you guys soon. Love your faces. I love them even more when they're nice and manscaped. Just wait. So until then, I will talk to you guys later. What's going on, everybody? It is us. It is the hosts of your favorite show, BTB, the original. We are the video store crew, my friend.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, the original two here. So you threw me off. I mean, it was a quick little boom intro. I was like playing with my phone, probably scratching myself here. It's just, oh, geez.
Listen, when you have beauty like that, there's no hiding it. So,
make me blush here, Mike. Make me blush.
You want to hear something crazy? And I don't care that it's a little off topic. It's not really movie related, but you're going to love this.
Okay.
Will Montero. We went to high school with him.
Yes.
He became, Guapo is a boxing promoter and manager, right? So,
he actually manages with Will?
No, he doesn't manage Will, but they're friends, and I just found that out today in a Facebook post. And I knew Wilson had gotten into boxing, but I didn't realize just how in depth he was into boxing, and certainly somebody who's supposedly a very big favorite. And I believe it. He was a great guy in high school, so. I'm happy to hear about success like that.
Yeah, no, I've seen his social media posts. I mean, they're fantastic. I mean, he really has a great knowledge of the ring and the boxing and promotes proper promotions. I mean, he does it all. So he's definitely top notch.
I love that. I really do. So we're back again for another week, everybody. We're going to be talking movies. Our topics for this evening are going to be I just had them up and then I took them down. So we're going to talk about like favorite foods, like meals and or snacks. It can be both. It can be anything. And I have some stories for this, and I know Len will too. To eat while you're watching movies. Now, it doesn't just have to be movie theaters. It's just favorite snacks and stuff to snacks or meals to eat while you're watching movies at home or whatever. Or if like certain movies remind you of certain meals.
True.
And also, we're going to be talking about some stuff we've been watching lately, and we're also going to be talking about how to get people back to movie theaters.
Ooh. It's opening up. It's opening up.
You know what? I'm so happy. We're vaccinated now. We need to get more people vaccinated. Of course, go out and get your vaccinations, people. For sure. But I'm excited that things are. Our theater here has been open since last July, and they were the blueprint for a lot of theaters because they wrote like the rules for COVID. I always felt safe going there. They run it fantastic. It's the Alamo Draft House in Winchester, Virginia.
Okay. Yep.
They keep the distance and seats. Like nobody can buy the seats once you buy them next to you.
Yes.
I never felt like everybody's on top of everybody. The service for food has always been like they had the gloves on, they had the masks on. That they bring it out to you, it covered. And you don't really see much of that beforehand. Like I think COVID really woke us up to. Wow, we let germs in a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was just talking to my coworker about this today. The one thing I still take away a year later is that we actually had to be reminded as a society to wash our hands after going to the bathroom. Like, how bad is that? And just thinking of the germs and like you talk about the touching and the food, but no, that's good that Alamo actually did set that up because, I want to say up by me in New Jersey, we have, the AMC theaters, a couple mom and pop chain theaters, but same thing. They set the tone for, the space, the food, like everybody mentioned. So, but which I also like too, which I'm going to mention really quickly is that which I find is a good price, depending on the movie, for like $150, you could literally rent out the entire theater. So, and they give you a selection of movies that they will present. And one of them was John Carpenter's The Thing. And I thought to myself, for $150 to have the entire theater to myself just to watch John Carpenter's The Thing on the big screen, that might be worth it, I have to say.
I'll tell you this. We did that. So my oldest, my oldest. So I'm not telling you. I'm telling the people out there in listening land. My oldest just turned 9 in March, and we did that for his birthday. We rented out the theater. I even made a special trailer for his birthday for him.
Oh, that's so nice.
Edited it together so we'll play before the movie. And we did The Croods, the New Age.
Yes,
and I'll tell you, we got the whole family to go. It was like $250. We had the whole theater to ourselves. It was definitely worth it. I do want to bring on real quick before we get started.
Yeah, of course.
We have a very special guest joining us tonight. Fantastic actor who's been in a lot of stuff we love, and I have questions for her, but she's going to join us and talk about topics. Miss Sarah Dumont.
Hey.
Featuring my milkshake.
There's nothing wrong with that. I need a milkshake right after the show. Thank you for doing that to me.
Of course.
So welcome to the show. I've had you on Scene Snobs interviews before for your movie Drive All Night, which premiered in March. It's a fantastic movie. I got to watch it, and you were fantastic, and everybody was. Everybody did such a fantastic job in that movie.
Yeah, everyone delivered really good performances. It was one of those projects where I think that it was kind of a lot of really talented people going, I think there's something cool and interesting about this super weird script. And I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And then we were all just genuinely happily surprised that there were other talented people also having the same idea. Oh, this could be the worst decision I've made or the best decision I made. I don't know. Getting on the plane. We'll see what happens.
You know what? I do have a question about that though. As an actor, you go into roles like this. This is a neo-noir film, and it's very different in style. Stylized, I should say. When you step into roles like that, what kind of mind frame do you have to get in for something that's maybe a little more fantastic than a normal?
Yeah. I think that. So I love the super nerdy. It started with Star Wars and Babylon 5 that my also super nerdy mom liked. And then I got into vampires and werewolves and dragons and all these fantastical elements. And then in my late 20s started reading all of these YA novels. I started reading YA novels in my late teens when I was modeling, all the Twilight series and stuff like that. And then I just stopped reading books for the longest time when I started acting and got deep down into it. but I always loved getting into that world, and I would always picture myself reading those books as the main character, and these fantastical things and events and powers and all that stuff actually happening to me as a real person. And I loved that escapism. So the way that I've always looked at it as an actor is not to play the fantasy at all. It's to just go in and play yourself in that situation and circumstance. Like Marlon Brando just said, a great actor just needs to believe their situation and circumstances and then do nothing. Just you'll act accordingly and people will feel it and they'll believe it. Which I really do believe that. So I've never really approached even an audition and tried to play anything differently than I would as to a serious drama.
Okay. Now, I will tell you this, in terms of the fantastical and going on, you've worked with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
You've worked with Yutaka Takuchi, who was in the Defenders. You've worked with Captain America. You've worked with Black Widow. I need to ask, who are you going to play in the MCU? It's coming.
I mean, honestly, I think I should be Batgirl.
I'll take that. I'll tell you what.
No, I would love that. I don't know. I think in the Marvel universe or DC universe or just any of it.
Either. Tell us both.
Either one, yeah.
I want to play villain. I like villains. I find villains far more interesting, far more layered and complex. To find as an actor the motivation for what they do is easier for me. It's more interesting. Like the psychology of it makes more sense. It's more therapeutic. Yeah, I think that Catwoman is kind of walks that line of villain and hero, that antagonist, protagonist type character. But yeah, I think that I would just like to play like just the straight up villain that, whoever's the next Batman has to take down.
I think they need a Poison Ivy. They haven't done Poison Ivy yet, so there you go. They
did
Poison Ivy
way back.
Poison Ivy with Arnold Schwarzenegger was Freeze.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So she was played by Uma Thurman back in the day. I'm talking about now. They need
Yeah. They need to bring her back. I could definitely play Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy would be great to play. I want to be a villain. I don't want to be the hero. The hero is it's like great. You need them and you want to root for them in the story. But I love watching films or reading books or looking at comics where you start to root for the villain at some point. And like, even when you're watching a series and you're so emotionally involved in it, they just need to go down and it has to end. They have to go down for your protagonist to survive. A bit of you is like so sad. Like, oh man, you could have come back. There was your moment. In episode 7, you had your turning point. You messed up. If you would have just made that one decision, you'd still be here. But like, that's the character that is far more interesting to me. And that would be like a huge sense of an accomplishment to play a villain in Batman, play Poison Ivy. That would be amazing.
Yeah, Poison Ivy too, because Poison Ivy was that character that was like, she was called a villain, but she really just wanted to save the Earth.
Yeah. She wasn't really a villain at all. It was just like, misinterpreted intentions and then this like loss, or more like a transference of empathy and not like a loss of empathy. She didn't lose empathy. She felt for the Earth and saw humans as a virus. And like, just, scientific theory speaking, I happen to agree with that human beings are quite similar to a virus, that all organisms are contained within another organism, and we're all just on this giant organism called Earth. And if you would look at Earth as a body, then human beings are a virus just taking and destroying it. So I think that, in particular, you kind of nailed that one.
Sarah, listen, we don't need you getting into character yet.
No,
I love it.
We have no Batman to save us. Don't go getting into character.
See, I love it. You're just like diving into the layers of the villain, and I love just to hear that. And you're right. Just you root for the villain because you wonder, like, you try to like break it down as you're watching them.
What made them this way? Like, could they be saved? Who did this to them? Why is it like, am I on the right side? I like that. Yeah, I think that I've always had kind of an interest in psychiatry and psychology. So, and acting is a lot of that. So the villains are far more fun for me.
Well, you did go up against one of our favorites because we're big horror fans here, and it was a great horror comedy you were in, and I'd be failing if I didn't mention it. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, which you were fantastic. You played Denise.
Are you talking about when we went up against Kackner?
What was that?
Who I went up against? Kackner? David Kackner?
No. I was just talking about your movie, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. And one thing I wanted to mention there, because we're such big horror fans, is you've gone up against zombies. What would you like to go up against next?
What would I go up against?
Yeah, what would you like to... Now, switching over to the hero role, what monster would you like to face next in a movie?
You know what's weird? Because I look nothing like her. But I don't know. There's like the opioid epidemic, and I'm just a huge fan of her music. As I would like to face like the heroin and eating and disorder and alcohol monsters and play Amy Winehouse. I know that's so far off.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah,
it's a great answer.
I would love to play her. I think she's so fascinating and so interesting, and all of her struggles resonate, and her music resonated with me when it first came out on the battles that she went through. And I sing in a very similar type of way. So when she first came out on MTV, my friend Trisha, she's like, oh, like everyone's raving about this song. I had been modeling out of the country. She's like, I know you're going to be with me. You're going to effing hate it. And it came on and she's like, this song. And it's like, meet you downstairs in the bar. And I'm like, this is bomb. I love it. Who's this? And she's like, no, you're on board. And I'm like, yeah. And it was Amy Winehouse. And I was just obsessed because that was definitely the first time, like from like the millennial generation, that we had heard this retro soul blues type of voice on a pop level on MTV, and like soulful. And it's that, we all heard Elvis, we all heard Ray, we all heard Etta James before, but it was something that your grandparents played. It was like she came on MTV, and she really was like this person who was a struggling artist going around in the back of a little hatchback car in England doing little shows for, half vacant lounges, to being Beatles level famous within such a short amount of time, and battling bulimia and battling alcoholism and battling heroin and losing that battle. And then, the complexities with her family as well. I think eventually someone's going to make that film, right? I mean, she's too interesting not to.
Yeah, she did have a very interesting life. I can't see it not being made at some point.
I can't see it not being made either.
All right, so we're going to have to say Team Sarah when they do start getting that movie together. So you go out and audition for it.
Well, definitely. I'll like send them a tape, and they're like, we did not ask for this. And I'm like, I just wanted you guys to know that I can do a commoner accent really well, and that my hair is natural brown, and then I sing in the same style. So, who played Marilyn Monroe? Mira Michelle.
No, Mira Sorvino.
Did she? In what movie?
No, not Mira Sorvino. And
the Marilyn, where it's like Marilyn Monroe and then like Norma Jean.
No.
Norma.
The newer one.
Okay.
Heath Ledger's baby mama. What's her name?
Michelle Williams.
Fantastic actress. I feel really bad now. Michelle something.
Michelle Williams.
Yeah. Was it Michelle Williams?
Yeah. Doesn't really look like Marilyn Monroe at all in real life.
No,
but in that movie.
Wait.
I mean, listen,
and plus
we've seen Makeup Do Wonders for
and she's an actress. She really dove in and like got down the mannerisms and the voice and all the things. So I think, it could be done. I think that would be like, that's what I'd want to face is the complexity of addiction and eating disorders and fame and family elements and like, playing Amy Winehouse. That would be like the dream role. People always ask me what the dream role is. And I think after doing all the interviews after Drive All Night, I was like, I should actually think about this question, because I've been asked it probably 100 times now, and I never have an answer. And then I like
now you got it.
Well, we got the answer now.
And I was like, that's the dream role, playing Amy Winehouse.
I'd love to see that. And because, like you said, it would be such a fascinating movie because she had a fascinating life. So that would be, hopefully they put together, like they have Netflix has a new TV show coming out about Halston, the clothing designer, and Ewan McGregor's playing him.
Really?
Yes, it's I think it's set to premiere either this month or next month, and it looks awesome. It looks fantastic.
I mean, Ewan McGregor doesn't really disappoint.
No,
I mean, I'm sure he has disappointed in something, but like my brain has just blocked it out. I'm like, great, like ticking off what I've seen him in. Great, crap movie, great still. Like
if he's disappointed, I haven't seen the movie yet.
I haven't seen it. Yeah, like I'm like I've either blocked it out or I haven't seen it. He doesn't disappoint.
So yeah, we did actually the topics tonight. One of them was definitely inspired by you because I follow you on social media, and I used to live in LA, and you posted about Tommy's.
Yeah,
which is a great burger joint in LA.
World famous chili burger joint.
Oh yeah, and they put chili on mountain of chili on everything.
A mountain of chili on everything. Sometimes I'm like, can you just like? It's pretty much like a sloppy Joe meets In-N-Out.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
100%.
It's wild. Like you got to have like a big appetite, but you're gonna be so satisfied.
And you're not doing anything that day.
Your day's done. So that day I actually had like self-tape auditions, and I did like 2 separate characters in the same day, back to back, which is really draining, like super draining, because I'd make it a point not to half-ass really anything work-wise, to a fault. Like I'll run myself ragged, but if I'm going to do it half-ass, I would rather just not do it. So it's like, if I'm going to do an audition and I got to memorize 12 pages and it's a lead role, I'm going to read the entire script. So if it's a 60-page script or it's a 120-page script, it doesn't matter. So you got like 9 pages on one character with 3 scenes and, 100 and something pages to read. And then the other character, you got 120 pages to read and 12 pages of dialogue and 2 scenes to memorize. We have both really complex scenes and different people and situation and circumstances. And so I put in a ton of prep work and have a hard time sleeping always the night before. And then it's really draining. So after, I'm just like, what am I going to eat now? Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm going to go lay down.
I get that.
Yeah, my day ended at 4:20 p.m. that day when I went through the drive-thru of Tommy's. I was like, this is a commitment. We're done. We're not getting anything else productive today.
We had our Tommy's. It was like 3 blocks down. And when we were sitting there, we knew we had nothing that day. We were, maybe we were in between jobs or, because we do film sets. So like, how it is. You're off for like a day or two. So we would go down, we'd get the food around lunchtime, come back knowing we're not going to do anything all day. And that was our Star Trek food. So we were watching the Star Trek movies that day.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, like Star Wars. Like you're going in, you're watching all of them.
Yeah. And it got me
like Battlestar Galactica.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it got me thinking like, that I always associate that when you did, as soon as you did, I started thinking about the Star Trek movies because that was my association. So I started thinking about other things, other foods, snacks that like when I see them, what does it remind me of? So I wanted to pass this off to you guys tonight. Like what are some movies that you like kind of marry foods to, and what are those foods?
Wow.
I don't know if I like marry foods to movies.
Oh, I do.
You do?
I do. I'm a big guy, and I'm trying to lose it.
You've lost a lot of weight, but you've lost weight since our last interview.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, noticeably have lost weight since our last interview.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I was gonna say something, but then like also sometimes I feel like that might be like rude. It's I don't know. Like
it's totally not the lighting
background, so it's like. I don't know.
I try talking about it on the show, so that way, like, if it can help inspire somebody else, if they're trying to like get over that hurdle or whatever, like, I try to help.
Like all the encouragement. Yeah, I come from a modeling background, so it's like I, had my troubles in my like around 19 to 21, severe like anorexia. I'm like, people go, "Oh my God, you're so skinny," and my little like sick inner voice would be like, "Oh my God, thank you." Like, I think that I've kind of like untrained myself not to try to comment on anyone's weight unless they bring it up, because I don't know what I'm what I'm encouraging or discouraging, or, you know, if someone's maybe lost weight, maybe they weren't meaning to, or like telling her, oh, you look great, you look so healthy. And she takes that as like, oh, that means I'm fat now. Like, you know, it's just like this weird thing that I have. But yeah, I was like, you definitely have dropped some LBs.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm still continuing. I'm still going to kick ass and work at it. But yeah, so, but I still do like, and I even though it's smaller portions now, there are some foods like I'm like, all right, maybe I'll get like a small plate of nachos or make it myself or something. And that's like, you know, what I'll sit down and watch.
I mean, I do associate wings with the UFC.
Oh, you have to. I agree.
Right? Like that's been like the biggest. I mean, I haven't been seeing all the fight nights because I'm just like, all right, like you can't spend $90 on pay-per-view every Saturday. That's wild. So I've only been watching like the really big ones. So I watched the, you know, Usman and Lemchenko, Ballerina, I love her, and then Rose fight, and I was like, where are the wings? Like that's the one thing, like why is, you know, Barney's Beanery not open? I don't drink anymore, but like where are my effing wings and my Coca-Cola on my drunk Australian friends who don't know anything about fighting for me to argue with? Like this is like such an amazing fight night. Every card on the main card was amazing. I need wings and I need people to yell at and argue with. Like it just didn't feel the same, you know.
I agree with that because it's like you go down to the sports bar and you watch it or something, and of course you're gonna have some wings. Or if you're with some friends, like you got the spread out, and there's always wings. That's a good one.
Wings, yeah. Like wings, I definitely associate with UFC.
Boneless or with the bone?
Okay, so a lot of people are gonna get mad at me for this. Both, but I prefer boneless. I'm not gonna lie. Like I love buffalo wild wings.
I love boneless.
It. Just like literally drench that in ranch, and then the next one I drench it in blue cheese. Like I like them both, but boneless is better. Like it's just easier.
Exactly.
Have you ever like gotten the bone cracked in the divot of your molar? That
really
hurts, like where you just like go and the bone will like splinter, and I don't know, maybe I have like deep rivets in my molar, but it'll go in the middle and like poke up. That really hurts. So like that happens with eating wings and like not looking. So like when you're like, watching something and just like, and you think you didn't get any bone, and it's just like that hard joint or bone bit where a little bone will get, and like you clamp down on it, and it will happen like to me with like salmon every once in a while too, where it hasn't been properly deboned. It hurts. Yeah.
We used to, Lenny, when we were in high school, worked at a video store. I mean, I think we all did at some point, but Lenny was like the man at the video store you go to tell you what movies you should be watching. And he worked at Hollywood Video, and it just had like this whole spread of like snacks. And for me, I would go in, I get something. And I think it was like the cookie dough, chocolate covered cookie dough bites, like the Bunch of Crunch, and like, but that was horror movies. I was watching horror movies that night if that was the case. And that
it's Reese's Pieces, the big elephant size Coca-Cola icy, red vines, and popcorn.
Oh, red vines.
Red vines. Wow.
Love some red vines, like the big Costco size bracelets. Like that's nothing. I'll just eat so much of red vines, and just it all goes in my face like 2 weeks later. Just acne everywhere, but it's worth it. It's good.
Red vines are the only snack that like I actively crave, if that makes sense. Like, and not that I don't like crave certain stuff, but I'm talking about like when I feel like I need a red vine.
It's like specific. You're like, I don't want a knockoff. I don't want a Twizzler. I don't want just candy. Like a lolly's not going to do. If I want red vines, I want red vines.
Yeah. Like if I want to, you know, like what is it? A candy bar. It's not, it doesn't have to be Snickers. It doesn't have to be Milky Way. But if I want a red vine, I got to go and get
you got to have exactly that.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I still like Twizzlers. I'm not going to take it away from Twizzlers, but
red vines
with tomato soup. I know that's not like on like the the movie snack thing, but I love Campbell's full sodium tomato soup with vitamin D milk. Like I've been in some really fancy hotels and really fancy restaurants, and like they'll like bring out like this like tomato, bisque, whatever. I'm like, this is crap. It just doesn't. This is not what I wanted. I've never been happy. I've always been disappointed. I just want the soup out of the can and like the gallon of milk in the cup and on the stove. Like that's how I am with tomato soup. The way you are with red wine.
You take the crackers, you crumple them, you dump it in.
I don't understand people who don't like tomato soup. I don't get it. That's my ultimate.
I get it. You don't like tomatoes in raw form. I like them, but I don't like olives out of the can or like the fanciest olive. I love olive oil. I love olive cooked into stuff, but like the texture thing, I get that. Like if you don't want like raw tomatoes, I mean, I don't see it, but if you got a texture issue, it's a texture issue. But tomato soup, because your mom,
I always liked it.
Why don't you like tomato soup? What happened? Like, are you okay?
Listen, it snows here, and after I go out shoveling, I'll come back in and make tomato soup. It'll make me feel better.
I actually have like a memory of, so I shot an Equinox. Do you know the gyms, Equinox?
I know of them. I haven't been in one.
Yeah, so like when I had to be 17 or 18. So it was like 2007, 2008. And Ellen Van Unworth, who's a former model herself, and the very famous photographer, was shooting their campaign. And I was like, sweet, this means I'm in like great shape. They booked me for this Equinox campaign. And like, but really the campaign was like, there was one model who had like a natural body made in the gym, and then a bunch of other like girls with like surgical scars and like lines. Like it was like during nip tuck days. So we were all like drawn up. So I was like, oh, so you're telling me like I look like I'm plastic? And the stylist, I don't even remember her name, or else I actually would willingly throw her under the bus because this was not cool. She put us in these shoes that she bought at an S&M store. Oh. And I'm like, you didn't see the issue with that, maybe? Like they're literally masochist shoes. They weren't just high heels. And I mean, like high heels are uncomfortable enough, but these are shoes that are designed to be painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we were shooting in LA in the middle of the winter, and we're like up in the hills in this beautiful house, but a lot of people don't realize that LA is next to the ocean. So in the winter it gets like 40 degrees at night, and I'm wearing this stupid gold bikini and these masochist shoes that are killing me. And I'm pretty tough. Like I can take a lot. I got a high pain threshold, but I'm just like freezing and like turning blue, and they're like, think warm thoughts in between the shots. And like Ellen tells in German to her like AD photographer to shut up and not say that to models because it's rude. Think warm thoughts.
Yeah.
And like right as she says that, she pitches them out quietly like in German. Like, are you kidding? Like they're freezing, we're wearing jackets. Like that's rude. Don't say that. Then like the production guy is like, tomato soup, while wearing his like North Face jacket, and he has a hot tomato soup to the entire crew and none of the freezing cold models. And like Ellen's just like, oh my god, like what are you doing to these people? So I have like say cold weather tomato soup that always pops into my head. I'm like, that dickhead.
Just don't get it. It's so crazy to me. Like some people.
Like I literally just told you guys to like shut up and be more sensitive and like let's get this shot done so we can put jackets on these girls. And you're like, tomato soup, and exactly enough just for the crew and not for the 9 people wearing nothing.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I will say this:
tomato soup and cold weather go together.
They do. They really do. And a good grilled cheese sandwich with the tomato soup.
I don't know about that. The grilled cheese, I think it's kind of mushy and.
I think you're just not doing it right. You got to do sourdough.
Okay.
You got to toast it on both sides with butter first. Then you got to cheese it up. Then you got to melt it, turn it all the way down, put a lid over it so it melts perfectly, and you keep that crispy sourdough. And then dip it in the Campbell's tomato soup with milk.
It's funny because I keep going to movies like that, and that is something because when it snows, I watch The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, first major snowfall of the season. Not like a dusting. I'm talking like it has to be a good storm You sit down, you put that movie on, sets a tone of the season.
You feel trapped inside, and you're just like, all right, I'm going to watch a movie where a bunch of guys are trapped inside by snow.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I've seen the thing, and I'm like, how's that going to be comforting?
Oh, it's not.
Couldn't it be the opposite of comforting? Or you're just like, oh, like it could be worse? Like I could have
That's a good point, though.
No, yeah.
Parasiting all of my friends and killing us all slowly.
I don't know what
Dark.
it is.
It's very dark.
I can't think of anything else like snow related. Like, I mean, of course, Christmas movies or something, but like in a good snowstorm, like I just love watching the thing and eating my tomato soup and my grilled cheese sandwiches. Oh, it just makes it all better. And red vines, of course, because you got
red vines, of course. But that's horror movies.
That is horror movies. I will say this: another one that you inspired me with, because you were talking. Tommy's, of course, is in LA. And recently the news came out about the ArcLight cinemas closing up. I love the ArcLight. And if anybody doesn't know what the ArcLight was, it was just this fantastic movie theater in LA.
Amazing. Like so luxurious in this cool dome, big curved screen. Like it was such it was just like really an experience. And it's sad that it's over. It makes sense why it obviously like you can only last so long with that kind of overhead. I mean, I can't imagine what the rent prices or the property tax alone must be on the locations that they had, because they have, their original location, which is the Dome, and that's, so famous, but they also had really expensive real estate on Hollywood and Vine, and then they had one over in like Century City, so it makes sense from a numbers perspective why it would go under, but it's still just like sad. Like you'd think that, I don't know, at least the one on is it Sunset or Hollywood Boulevard with the Dome? Like you wouldn't think
the Cinedome
conservationists would be like.
Well, they're going to keep the theater. I think they're going to sell the theater. It's just not going to be an ArcLight anymore. But that's sad because the ArcLight had an awesome restaurant in it, had an awesome bookstore.
It had a bookstore, it had a restaurant, it had a bar, they had mocktails, they had ginger beer, they had O'Doul's. Like not only did they have a bar, but they had an alcoholic friendly bar as well. Like you could go in and you can also have a beer. Like
for sure.
Yeah, like it was so nice.
And it was so nice because you go to the theater and like they would have somebody sit there, announce, turn off your cell phones. There was like no tolerance for that. And they'd sit there for the first 15 minutes of the movie in the theater to make sure the sound quality and the picture quality were perfect.
Yeah.
And then
I have actually been in the ArcLight where the sound was off. It was off. And they stopped it and they apologized and they like offered people like complimentary things and they restarted the movie.
That's amazing. That's
amazing.
Fantastic.
It's not like it was for nothing. It wasn't just for show. Like, I mean, there was a time I went in, the sound, it was just off. I don't know what was going on with it, but like the bass would just like shake the whole room and you couldn't hear the dialogue, but they stopped it right at the beginning. They like apologized and then quietly, like seamlessly just like passed out snacks for free, which was awesome.
What's wrong with that?
But there was one place at the AMC Marina Del Rey, if you're ever in LA or you live in LA and you don't know about this, there is a dine-in AMC in Marina Del Rey that has full recliner, lazy boy chairs, and get the milkshake. It's this big. I'm a tall girl. That's big. It's like this big. It's not just topped with whipped cream and a cherry. Get this. It is topped with an ice cream sandwich.
Ooh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Right? It's like,
oh my god!
Sounds great.
I was like, oh, but you
now
know,
I want an ice cream.
you have the whole so you have the lazy boy thing on the recliner, and then like when you're like in the front row on a plane, and instead of it goes like that, you have the thing that comes out and comes over. It's like one of those ordeals, but like really nice and big. And then they have the lighting kind of set up perfectly to where there's like a little bit of dim light to see what you're eating that doesn't travel past your seat. And like you can just you can order more throughout. Like you can get like crispy like fried chicken tenders and fries. You can get a burger, you can get pasta, you can get a salad if you're gonna do that. But I mean, what's the point? Like you're already being a lush. Get the
and I love that. That's a great way to That's a great bookend.
You're going to a theater where you're gonna watch it in a lazy boy, and someone's gonna deliver you food.
Yeah.
So like, do it right. Don't get a salad.
Do not get a salad, people. Do not
Weak.
do it.
Only in the movie theaters. I mean,
Days
every
don't
other
you
time,
dare order salad.
you're good.
I don't.
It's dark. No one could see you eating, but I can hear you crunching on your salad, and I'm judging
Yeah.
you.
Oh, especially the croutons are in there. You just like,
Yeah, I'm like, we're all judging you. Like,
No.
what?
Oh yeah.
I would prefer to hear your M&M bag. Like, come on.
The only way I come close to a salad at a movie is like because we have an Alamo Draft House here. So I will order the vegan pizza, like you have a personal sized pizza that's vegan, and so that's the closest I come to salad. It's just the fact that it's plant life on my pizza. But it just tastes so good.
I love that because I will now slip that in to be like, no, I ate a salad today.
There you go.
I'll
tell
go
people that.
full-fledged. You get the corn dogs, the little corn dogs, and you get like 12 of them. They're like the Dave's famous ones, and they're just deep fried, just terrible.
You gotta deep fry the dog. Come on.
It needs so good though.
It needs to be deep fried. You do like the double deep fry at the carnivals.
You know, I just went to a fair with my kids this past weekend, and they had deep fried Oreos, and I tried them for the first time ever.
Sweet.
I knew they existed. I just never had them.
Wait, you see
they're a little much for me.
Yeah,
you gotta go to Jersey Shore on the boardwalk and Point Pleasant, and there's this place there that they make them amazing. So no judgment until you go to Jersey Shore, Point Pleasant boardwalk.
Listen, I live in the South, okay? So when you go to a fair in the South, they have like turkey legs, deep fried turkey legs with bacon wrapped around them. It's insanity. They don't know what they're doing here.
Yeah. My dad's from Texas, and we used to we lived in Utah, and like father and daughter. I would not spend all my Thanksgivings with my dad because my mom lives in California. I would kind of go back and forth between, but the Thanksgivings I would have with my dad, it was kind of like our little tradition he would always have his turkey picked out like before butchering, like which one he was gonna get. Like he would know it's that guy over there. To talk to the, if you still call him a farmer, but who raises the turkeys. He's 23 pounds, and these are his dimensions. And we would go into the shed and weld a custom fry pan for the turkey each year. Yes. And that was kind of our like tradition that we would do together, like father and daughter, is get out there and the welder. And I loved all that stuff. Just like the more dangerous, the better. He would inject it with like this, like not just like a turkey baster, but like he would put this like big hollow needle. I don't even know where you get this stuff. I've been looking for it as an adult for like 10 years. Can't find it. I don't know how or where he located this thing, but it's like an injector with like a big hollow needle onto like a turkey baster, do his mix of spices and marinate, inject the meat.
The flavor injector.
All this like different flavoring and spices, then the stuffing, and then deep fry the whole thing. And like he would like measure it up like so perfectly, like this amount of oil, and it'll displace and nothing's gonna go over. Because I don't know if you deep fried a turkey, but you've probably read a news story where someone tried to and set their house on fire.
Well, when I moved here to Virginia, I have so a friend of mine invited me over for Thanksgiving, and he was deep frying a turkey. I'd never had it before in my life. I was like, not in an oven? What are you talking about? Well, he injected, I guess he did like, his spices. I didn't know. I didn't watch that part, but I guess he did it the way you're saying. And it's the best turkey I've ever had in my life. Everything, the skin, the whole line. Like it just it just stays like juicy and flavorful through like everything. And like those leftovers wouldn't last long. I mean, we would shred. My dad would always have us shred it. All the leftovers, we would shred it and then like take the skin. It was hard not to eat all the skin when we were busy doing the shredding, but like try to keep the skin in. I like shred the meat and then mix it together, and then we would have like basically like almost like a pulled pork sandwich, but with the leftover turkey, just 2 pieces of old-fashioned white bread, and they would get dusted, and they never lasted to December, like not once. And bringing it around to the point. We would do that deep fried turkey every year for Thanksgiving because I went to his house ever since. And we would watch Armageddon. I don't know why that was our Thanksgiving movie, but we'd eat turkey and watch Armageddon. You guys just don't like or something? Well, listen, you gotta have some Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck action.
That is a great film that you could watch once a year and it's still great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Good. The cast ensemble in that movie, they really nailed that.
And that's what makes the movie, because it is such an asinine plot. Great plot. Don't get me wrong.
Great, but like so completely stupid and out there. And like, I mean, they jump over the rock and they fly over and like miraculously land in the same spot on the asteroid, even though they missed their trajectory. Like, this is space. Like, the scientists are like, no, but Steve Buscemi, hilarious. I give it 5 thumbs up.
That's the thing. It's the cast. I mean, the cast in that movie. You can just
nailed every character so perfectly. The Russian guy on the space station, he just starts eating everything with the wrench. This has been an ongoing joke in my family since that movie came out. Like, when the remote's not where you start beating it, and you're like, Mom, it's not how you fix it. And it's like, American, Russian, all made in China.
I love one thing I loved about that movie was it was like the beginning of Michael Clark Duncan's career, like where he really broke out into like a famous. I mean, the guy was nominated for an Oscar, so
where he was like really recognized by everybody as like, oh, that's not just some like big meat guy, like that's why he looks familiar. Like, no, you're like, oh, that's the actor. That's my
100%, and he was just fantastic in it.
So funny.
So we talk about these movies. We talk about the foods that kind of led to these movies and what we're thinking about. I do want to bring up, because we were talking about the ArcLight. Just as we're kind of winding down towards the end of the show, I want to talk about what you guys think about how do we get people back into theaters? What should theaters do to kind of open up and get people back in?
Listen, like the thing about theaters is you get this group experience and you get like this kind of energy that's palpable. And it also forces you to like really narrow in, and some people don't watch movies like that if they're not in a theater. That's the only way I know how to watch movies is no distractions. I'm watching it. And that's the experience we all crave. But people actually do enjoy a little bit more space. And like this whole thing about like, oh, am I going to get stuck sitting next to so-and-so existed long before COVID.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's get people back. Just separate the seats further away, clean them down, like do the proper measures in between, like they are doing it in other spaces. It's like you could get, into something a little hot topic-y if you go like, oh, like proof of vaccination, but they're like sanitize, split them up, make them more private. I mean, the ticket prices for movies have been astronomically high for the few years leading up to COVID anyway. So it's like, so why don't you just give us a little more room? I feel like people would love to do that. Like, oh, I would love to go into a theater and have like it feel like everyone's got their own little opera box or their own box in an arena, and like make it more of a luxurious experience, like it was with ArcLight, because it did bring that like luxury and class back to it. As to where like I feel like a lot of airlines have tried to do that with their first class over the last decade, but not for everyone else, really at the sacrifices of everyone else by smushing coach further and further together. But like trying to bring that luxury back to flying. I mean, if you look back at the 60s and 70s and 50s, like when people were like first flying commercially, it was really this experience that they would dress up for. Like, I mean, women in their best heels and pearls and like having the most like Negronis and all this stuff. And it was this luxurious experience, which warranted the price and the prestige, to where it just like became this thing where we're just like, all like, okay, it doesn't matter what kind of seat I got. Like, this is going to be awful. Like just take in your safety measures and your COVID measures. And instead of having it be this like bad thing that we gotta like go in and like be invasive and clean. Like there is a big turnaround time that you go, like pay your employees a little bit more, protect them a little bit more, and have them come in and protect the guests and clean on the seats and separate it and make it more luxurious again. And then people will be, it was what, like $17.50 for a ticket, which was kind of astronomical before. But if you have that experience and you're employing people and putting Canadians and Americans back to work with a respectable job at a living wage, I'd be happy to pay $30 for that. I'm not happy to pay $18.50 to be smashed next to like frat boys. I'm not. Like I would rather just wait for it to come out and watch it at home half the time. Like there's only certain movies that I would go see in theaters that weren't like an ArcLight kind of situation because I'm like, who knows who I'm going to be seated next to? Like, am I just going to be like spending 2 hours trying not to say, yo, can you shut the F up? You know, like, just make it serious. I think that's the way to do it and bring back drive-ins. We all want them. Just bring them back.
I have a feeling drive-ins, all the drive-ins that
There's
exist.
a couple that have come back in LA.
They're not though. They're not. I mean, I know like
Well,
no, because COVID first happened. I know up here in Jersey, like everywhere was bringing it up. You know, improv, even like the original screens, drive-ins, and people were flocking to it. But unfortunately, it just started dissipating, and now you don't even see them being offered, at least in New Jersey. Of that,
here in LA, like there is a long waiting list to get into the drive-in.
That's great, though. That's good.
In Virginia too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also, I mean, Jersey's coming up on summer, so it's just maybe it's more. What is the word I'm looking for? I know this word.
No, they're closed during the winter, so you seeing that and seeing like how they're going to do, like we can't baseline that on what happened during the winter. Like in California, they may be open, but here in Virginia, we have one on the next town.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like California, maybe like in LA, obviously it's an entertainment centralized town. The economy is very much based around the entertainment industry. So there's, even if you don't work in it, you tend to be more of a fan of cinema and TV and all that kind of stuff just by flocking to LA. Because if you were a big business person, like you could live anywhere. Why are you living here if you don't have some kind of draw and nostalgia to it? So, and the weather, like it's kind of perfect for it. But I think that the indoor movie theaters just take the safety precautions that make people feel safe, like regardless if that area of the constituents, is like politicians like to call them, like are pro safety measures or not, just to make them feel safe and make it into a more luxurious experience instead of making it feel like, oh, like this is like a hospital case type deal, but just to where it's like you do it in between the turnover, have a system of entering and exiting, keep people apart. People would pay more to have a more luxurious experience where they can have a recliner chair and not have to be around people that are not in their group. I mean, there are such thing as like tracks that you can put in that slide these big, theater chairs over. So it's like you could have like a map out, you could pre-book 3, 2, like you can customize stuff like that. Which is not like crazy expensive. And it's like for the theater owners who are just financially dusted, it could be something as simple as just 2 seats in between each group, stagger them or empty, and it's just like, you can still have that more luxurious experience and at a less cost to the theater owner who's clearly financially hurting. And then once people start to get back in the seats, you can kind of make that more of a thing and make it more luxurious to what I was, like daydreaming about earlier, more of an ArcLight experience. Because I'd be happy to pay more for that. I think most people would.
When I lived in Orlando, we actually had a theater, an independent theater house called the Enzian Theater. And if you go in there, it's tables and chairs. It's like you're at a restaurant and they're serving you food, but you're watching a movie. And it was like a whole different level of experience that I really enjoyed. And like you said,
it's amazing stuff. That's amazing stuff. Like for these big chains, these big corporations that have backing, that have a lot of real estate and options, that's a very plausible path for them. But for the smaller mom and pop family owned restaurants, theaters, that's maybe not so realistic. But it can be something really as simple as just staggering out the seats, making people feel safe. and like as soon as they start coming back, and it's like there's not that much stuff to go do that there was pre-COVID. So I think if you can get your theater open and let people know about it, they're going to come back. They're going to come back more often than they were coming prior to COVID. Because we've done things like that.
I was going to say, have they actually done any like, I don't know, like surveys or per se, like of like asking the public, like what would make you come back to the theater? Like, are there?
I'm sure they are.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are. I haven't seen any. I haven't heard any, but I don't know. In 2016, post-election, I like did this thing where I like just kind of stopped watching the news.
Yeah, can't blame them.
I actually got rid of my TV, like, and my cable service because I was a really over the top Lakers fan. Through like I've been a Lakers fan since I was 5. Whatever. Okay.
I cheer for
the one sport I was always selected to play. Like I was tall even at 5. And yeah, I just no one in my family followed basketball. And anyone in my neighborhood, if they did follow basketball in San Diego, they liked the Clippers, and in Utah they liked the Jazz. So it was like the Lakers were my thing, and I liked looking at like all the old footage of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson playing, and then Kobe and Shaq played all through like my adolescence and teens. And I'm a huge Phil Jackson fan. Who doesn't love the '90s Bulls? Unlike Phil's whole era. So when Phil left, we had several years of disappointing basketball, and it was affecting my life on like a daily level of like I was in a bad mood for 2 days at a time because we had such a horrible, embarrassing loss again to a crap team. And then we had all this like all the news after Trump was elected, and it was just like this constant, like every day was just like I turn on the TV and get angry or get frustrated, and I'm like, this is really affecting my life.
Yeah.
And so I completely got rid of cable, and I did that for over 3 years. So I kind of just started watching cable again here and there. I will say it did benefit.
We did too. We didn't get rid of the TV, but the news is no longer.
The news has been no longer for me for a year. So like leading up to COVID, like I think I would update myself and inform. And here in LA, Mary Garcetti would do his 5 p.m. announcement, and I would tune into that like through other platforms, and definitely keep myself updated on the big world events through BBC World News. And with COVID, like checking in, but almost all of my friends and family were just like, and then, and it's just like stressing me out. I'm like, of course it is. It's stressful, man. Like turn it off. Watch Armageddon.
True.
Whatever you do, don't watch Contagion.
It's crazy though, because I was actually like watching a documentary about the making of last night of Contagion, and it's really scary on how that movie layout is, and just how it almost perfected with how everything worked with this, and like just the false things that are said on social media and people buying it, and the pros and cons. Oh, it's just like everything about it.
Literally, exactly. It was a prophecy. That's not even a film. It's a prophecy. Yeah. Like it was.
Well, no, they really put their research in. I mean, like with the CDC.
Yeah, and I remember when it came out, I never actually saw it until after COVID.
No, I saw it when it first came out. I loved it. I mean, not because like it was just well put together, and
yeah, because I heard like all these reviews, they're like the plot's insane. Like they're talking about like a bad, and like it's just like stupid. Like this would never happen. Yeah. And then
I'm one of those on the fence. I saw it when it came out, and I watched it. I was like, this is a terrifying movie. I was terrified throughout the entire thing. And I'm like, God, I hope this never happens. Flash forward 2020, and I'm like,
yeah, it's only
what's going on here.
10 years ago, so it's not that much.
I was just like, this is ridiculous. I do want to say, like, we are kind of coming up on our time. Our next show is starting pretty soon, but I wanted to say, Sarah, this has been amazing. It's been a lot of fun to talk to you and get so much insight, especially, you're the professional, so you know how these things work. So
you're the professional. You know how the podcast things work. Why do you think I'm always late? Because I can't figure out the tech. I'm like, I literally was sitting there again, and it was like my check your camera thing, and I'm like, all right, I'm just like waiting here, and I'm like, we went through this.
Yeah. Well, it's like today, like he signs me on. Like usually he has like the intro and everything else. Today, no intro. So here I am, like just drinking my water, almost blow my nose, and
I got kicked out. We were talking about figuring out tech, and I got kicked out of my own thing.
Yeah, I know. I thought you were trying to prove a point here. So
No, it was
I
so
was like
weird.
left, like, oh, that's right, you were late twice.
No. It's perfectly didn't bother us at all. We just introed, and you joined in at the right time. It was fashionably late. So that's how.
I thought it was perfect timing. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I shouldn't have said anything then. But it's been fun.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. We'd love to have you back on sometime. We always are just talking about movie topics, of course. But yeah, no, this has been.
Come back, just hit me up on Instagram. Slide in the DMs.
I appreciate that. But no, I'm not sliding in any DMs. I will just message you. There's such a creepy connotation.
oh,
You're just messaging me about completely professional and appropriate topics.
What foods do you watch with while you watch movies?
You know what
That's
movies,
like
about foods and movies. What foods do I like? I don't think I associate foods with certain movies because I'm like impulsive with my food choices. I like switch it up, and then with my movie choices, I'm actually quite picky about what movies I will sit down and watch because I'm ADD, but my focus when it's hyper focused, it is hyper focused, and I'm in it, and it's a big commitment. And also, why I'm so picky about going to the theater is like because a lot of times, if I drink the whole icy, which I like, that's 90% of the time. If I'm not like sitting there, like tapping my foot, battling my bladder to make it to the end of that film, then it was dog shit. Like if I'm not just risking a UTI, like better, Mr. Filmmaker or Mrs.
It's really good if you're not risking a UTI. Come on,
Queen and Slim. I for sure gave myself a UTI. I was like, what is happening next?
That was such a good movie.
I have to see how this plays out. Like, yeah.
I will say this: it has been truly fantastic to have you. But we always end with a movie recommendation. So, what's a movie that you recommend we go out and check out right now?
Sound of Metal.
Good choice, great choice. Not even
yeah.
good, great choice.
I think that like where I trained for acting, Anthony Mindell has always been preaching about acting in the silence, the power in the silence, and I'm a big believer in that. There's so much that goes on in the silence, and they use this aspect so brilliantly in the storytelling. And it is about someone losing their hearing, and then what it's like for this person whose everything has to do with music, and that's really his only way of expressing himself being taken away, and what that actually sounded like for him, and letting you as the audience experience that. And then experience the absolute silence, and then the reintroduction of sound. I felt like it was such an emotional roller coaster. I cried a lot. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's really powerful, and it's eye opening. And I think anyone who hasn't spent any time around the deaf community will have like a new appreciation for the deaf community and what they go through, and just an appreciation for stillness and being comfortable in stillness and silent. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful piece. It's really moving. I would highly recommend it. Not a first date movie unless you're the type of man who's like totally cool with crying in front of your girl. Like that. Yeah, there's just like a couple films like first dates, maybe not.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's got to be something a little lighthearted to talk about at the end.
Yeah, not like you like that. I think it's beautiful. I don't know. Like, first of all, if you're going to go see a movie on a first date, I think that's pretty kind of weak choice. But early stages, maybe not. But I think it's a fantastic film. It's definitely worth watching, and that actor is very good.
Sarah,
he's great.
Next time we have you on the show, I'm saving
Thank
that
you.
topic for next time you have on a show, like good first date movies.
Oh, okay. I got a list.
So next time we have it on, that'll be a fun one to talk about. I do want to say,
because then I'll go and I'll find the names of them since I'm so terrible with names. I'm like that one with that one guy and that one girl, and you're like, that's a date movie. Like, yeah, that one.
I'll find the name. I'm gonna do my research too. What would I? Because hey, it's just perfect. Movies are the perfect combination. But I will say this: thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been fantastic talking with you again. You are fantastic. Everybody go check out Drive All Night. It is a great movie. I'm glad I got to see it early at CineQuest. But now it's your turn to go out and check it out and support and love movies. So until next time, Jeff Dwoskin presents Crossing the Stream, starts at 9:30 at night. So everybody check it out here on the Scene Snobs channel. And until next time, I am Mick. That is Len. And Sarah Dumont, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
We will talk to you later, everybody.
Thanks
oh, yeah, people are listening. Bye is what I'm doing with my hands.
Guys, be safe.
And that's our show, everybody. Thanks for listening or watching, wherever you're checking it out. This show is brought to you by our sponsor, Manscaped. Go check them out. They are saving our balls, and they can save yours too, or somebody you care about. It's a pretty awesome device, so go check out what they got, the Lawnmower 3.0, the Weed Whacker, and more. It's a great gift for Father's Day, birthdays, weddings, anything. So yeah, head over there and use promo code SNOBS, SNOBS, and you'll get 20% off and free shipping. Also, we'd like to thank our super fan patrons. They are all Scene Snob family to us. They support us every month, and you can be one too. So head over to the Patreon channel, the Scene Snobs, and it's $5 a month, and you can join in with helping support us and get the free perks too. Also, you can follow us on social media. We are on everything at the Scene Snobs, so Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are on Facebook, the Scene Snobs. Everywhere. We have fun stuff always going on, always have contests and stuff, so go follow us, check us out. You can go to our link tree by going to thescenesnobs.com. There's our link tree, there's our Patreon, there is all of our shows and the links for all of that, so thanks again for checking it out. Just head over to thescenesnobs.com where everything is, and we will talk to you